Ready? My name's Fresh the Lion. I'm chilling backstage at Groovin The Moo, Wayville with YEWTH.
Perfect. Man, you nailed that. Fresh, welcome to Groovin The Moo. How you feeling?
Hey, thank you, man. I'm feeling good. It's a good vibe here in Wayville. Groovin The Moo is always a special event.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty content, pretty good.
Yeah. You just played then. How'd the set go?
Yeah, man. It was a good way to start the tour.
Yeah, definitely.
Wayville represented. It was fun. A lot of energy. A lot of young people, which is what I really love about Groovin The Moo.
Yeah.
Seeing young faces, they get to be able to appreciate a high caliber event.
Yeah.
That I think is quite rare for young people.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
cool.
you always see those kind of complaints. I think it's good that it's away just because, people might have seen artists, oh man, like, especially if you're doing solo shows and it's in a club or something like that, people can't come along to it. So yeah, it's good that it has that opportunity there. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this merch line that you have set up and about this artist series that you have for your merch.
Yeah. So that's brand new. We're kicking it off with Groovin The Moo, and the idea is that, I'm passionate about art and artists and visual artists and the work that they do. I follow a whole bunch online, and I've always wanted to be involved in that scene somehow, without having the talent to be able to create my own art.
Well, that's the beauty of collaboration.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So that's the point of the series. So I collaborate with artists whose work that I'm digging, and to celebrate or to mark, a bit of a moment, a landmark moment, whether it be a tour or a single or an album or whatever it might be, that I'll collaborate with an artist about, on a particular concept, and we'll release that merch, that design as a piece of merch for a limited time in limited numbers for the period of what that moment is.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's great, man, to be able to use Groovin The Moo as the first platform to kick it off with is awesome. Been a fan of Groovin The Moo obviously for a while as an artist, and to be able to do it is, don't take it for granted, the opportunity, and then to be able to have new merch that people can rock. It's kind of dope. It's fresh,
and I mean, it has that more collectability, I guess, because
most definitely,
it's something limited, something you can collect. What was the process like in choosing the artists that are collaborating on these pieces for different things that are related to your music?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. Like I said, I follow a bunch of different artists, so I've kind of always got my eye in that space to some degree. For this particular one, I collaborated with an artist named Gleno, who's done a lot of designs for metal bands mostly. He's from Sydney. Amazing work. The way that he's able to sketch out a design and a piece is just fantastic. And he actually was recommended to me by Dale from Elephant Tracks, who's from the Elephant Tracks team. And once we saw that, we were like, hey man, he'd be perfect for the first one to kick it off, and to create something that's strong and powerful and that's a bit of a statement and that looks dope on a sweater or a t-shirt.
And it's really like scouting the style from the artist to fit what you want from specifically.
Yeah, well, it's in the spirit of collaboration. I don't set any boundaries, so I'm kind of like, okay, this is essentially the concept of the idea, and that's it. Like, it's free reign after that. You can create whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think people are demanding that now, even with records and things that are coming out. It's all about tangibility. So people don't just want, even though Spotify is a big thing, it's good to have that, but then you need to have other stuff to back it up. Like, for example, Fundamentals that are playing here today, they had that art exhibition that went along with the tour.
Yeah, which
then that's what I compare it to.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It's great. Yeah, so back onto your music. It's obviously political, and it's messaging that is very relevant and a voice that we need to hear right now above, all these Pauline Hansons and bloody Trumps that are just fucking shit up pretty much. The other day you were making comments about migrants coming into Australia and kind of learning about Aboriginal communities and connecting with them, but also about, people even like me, and then, even probably like you as well, about connecting with migrants ourselves if we've been here our whole life. I mean, sorry, not with migrants, with Aboriginal communities. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so that came about in reflection of my own community, Sikh community, Punjabi community, we are a migrant community. I was born and raised in Southwest Sydney, but I come from a migrant community. And it's important to recognize that. It's also important to recognize that we as a community should take a proactive approach to engaging with, firstly, Indigenous history. but not just to appreciate it from a historical lens, but to go further and to actually value and respect Indigenous communities, because I feel that, and from listening to Indigenous voices, the message is that Indigenous history, Indigenous people are not considered or valued equally in the mainstream.
You know what it's like? It's almost like that history is pushed aside, and all that matters now is that we have this history that we think is, you know, what it should be almost. And it's like we have people that don't look, you know, like a certain way. They're coming into Australia, and it's like, I don't know, it's just so stupid the way that's happening. So yeah, I totally agree.
For me, it's, you know, when I think about what makes me proud to be from Australia, it's knowing how much of a rich history this continent has. Problem is, we don't learn about it. You kind of have to discover it yourself, because it's not as accessible in the mainstream. Slowly, it's becoming more and more. Indigenous voices have been speaking for a long time, and they've been acting for a long time. But now it's almost like you cannot silence them anymore. We're in the age of information, where it's accessible, and they cannot be silenced. And thank God for that. And
do you agree that, you know, hip hop has been the driving force in that with AB Original, for example? Like, even for me, I feel like they have been a lot of education, because you like the music at first, and then you actually listen to the lyrics, and you're like, shit, that's actually what happened.
Yeah, I think music has played a big role, for sure. And we have a long tradition of Indigenous musicians in this country who kill it on the global platform. You know, and generations of them who have been doing amazing stuff. You know, we got, you know, Kutcha Edwards through to, you know, Archie Roach, obviously, Khaled Stone. You know, so those generations of artists paved the way. YEWTH Magazine, you know, paved the way, and now you've got a group like AB Original, Defiant, Bad Apple's music representing, like, hell yeah.
And
man.
they're unapologetic. Unapologetic.
They don't have to apologize for anything. They don't have to apologize. They're doing them, and it's an amazing thing, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking again about hip hop and acts like AB Original, and I mean, even people like Remy, Sampa, yourself, do you feel like the landscape is changing? Like, that Australian hip hop isn't just about white dudes? But I want to go a bit further into that. And do you think maybe, we'll see what your answer is, but do you think maybe that the faces of Australian hip hop are changing, but there's still a bit of like a culture there with crowds and stuff that are still in that white hip hop mentality? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, look, you know, if we view it from a historical standpoint, hip hop in this country has always been multicultural and diverse.
Yeah.
At a grassroots level.
Yeah.
And that's where it's always started. It's where it'll always be. What has been recognized by the mainstream, I suppose, or given, I suppose, a mainstream spotlight, has been artists predominantly, you know, who are white, but that's not isolated to hip hop.
Yeah.
We're talking about entertainment industry in general, and not just entertainment industry, politics. We're talking about corporate representation. Every aspect of society. That's what it's been. So hip hop is a byproduct of that, because it exists within this broader landscape of what is Australia. So it's slowly changing. It's slowly changing if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, on a surface level.
Yeah.
But beyond the surface, it's been there. People have been there. They've been hungry. They've been killing it, you know. And now it's like the gates are opening a little bit. Not just in hip hop, but across the board. Slowly, something has to give.
Yeah.
You know?
Something does have to give, and I think the reason why guys like you are coming up is because you're creating good music, and I actually think people agree with the messaging, you know? And, you know, it almost has to be, in a sense, that hip-hop and the genre and the voices are the party. Like, do you know what I'm saying here? Like, Parliament are making these decisions, but for stuff to change, this is what the music is going to do to the next generation to make them realise, hang on, like, what I'm learning in school about Captain Cook isn't the only thing that's happened in our past. And, in fact, for our future, where that heads with migrants and accepting people, because that's what this country was built on.
Yeah, well, you know, music plays a role, art plays a role.
Yeah.
And hip hop has always been in that education space, you know, like You talk about, I learned about civil rights movement in the U.S. through hip hop.
Yeah.
Through groups like Public Enemy, through
the
messages of Tupac.
Start, right?
No, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, and that gave me such a strong inspiration to want to learn about it.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was like, well, hang on, I want to learn about the struggle of my own people, the history of my own people.
Yeah.
Let me look that up, you know, and now I want to learn about what's happening here on, you know, it just opens the door.
Definitely.
You know, it totally opens the door.
Definitely does.
And music is great in that sense, not only just because you can listen to it in your own space, in your own time, but when you come to a show like this, you're amongst people and you're feeling the essence of it, you know, and that's pretty special.
Yeah, and yeah, we got to wrap this up soon. But what's inspiring and driving you? Like, what are you working on at the moment, musically or outside of that? Is there anything you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, man, I'm working. I got my hands on a lot of things at the moment, you know, and a lot of which is kind of kept under wraps. But I'm staying busy, you know, and I'm kind of just, my focus is how do I get better as an individual? How do I get better as an artist, an MC, performer? How do I get better as a musician? How do I get better as a human being? You know, and how can I continue to deliver the best of myself to not just a country, but a world that deserves the best of each and every one of us. So that's what my focus is.
That's great. Humble guy, and I think everyone can take that messaging and really should follow it. Thanks for talking today, All Fresh.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
You know, make
That's
the most
it.
of this life.
Fantastic.
I'll hopefully see you again soon.
Yeah, man.
Take it easy. See ya.